Red Dead Redemption 2 is a game full of heartbreak, loyalty, and betrayal.
But there's one question that's haunted players ever since the credits rolled. Who ratted out the Vanderlinde gang?
The game never gives us a clear answer, just pieces, hints, paranoia, and a trail of broken trust.
Micah may have been the obvious snake in the grass, but what if it wasn't just him?
What if the betrayal ran deeper, or came from someone we never suspected? In this video, we're breaking down every possible suspect, every motive, and every lie to finally uncover the truth behind the fall of the Vanderlinde gang.
So first things first, we're gonna go over Molly, the heartbroken lass driven to madness by Vanderlinde. After being found drunk and brought to camp by Uncle, she started yelling at Dutch about how she told on him to the Pinkertons.
I told them!
I'm sorry?
This was the last thing she ever did. Later we found out from Milton that Molly didn't rat.
Old Micah Bell?
Micah? You mean Molly?
Molly O'Shea? Sweated her a couple of times, never talked a word, had to let her go.
And though Milton says she didn't, she sure did say otherwise. But we gotta think about her intention. Did she just want attention, or was she being serious and Milton was lying? Though I don't see that being the case. Molly just seems like she hit her breaking point after being ignored and mistreated by Dutch. She was very drunk and very mad at Dutch, and sometimes that's just as simple as it can be. And I think it's safe to say that she is not the rat.
Colm O'Driscoll, infamous gang leader and rival of Dutch Vanderlinde. This theory begins in Chapter 1 with the Cornwall train robbery, which was originally Colm's heist. But when Dutch stole the plans and did it first, Colm was seeking revenge. It's obvious that Colm approached or was approached by Pinkertons with a deal. Colm gives Vanderlinde to the Pinkertons, and thus Colm and his gang are rewarded and forgotten. There are small scattered details that point to this theory, details such as Pinkerton boiler hats and Hanging Dog Ranch. It needs to be said that Micah was a key piece of this puzzle, more on that later. Colm's plan to turn in the gang was to capture Arthur in hopes that Dutch and the rest of the guns will storm over to rescue Arthur, only to be ambushed by Pinkertons. However, this plan fell through. It's possible that the O'Driscoll attack in Shady Belle was another attempt at rounding up Vanderlinde gang members, this time by force. And again, this plan also fell through. And it seems as though when the Pinkertons realized that Colm's efforts were useless, that's when they decided to break their deal and hang Colm. But after the investigation of all of these events, it suggests a strong case of Colm being a rat.
The Italian mafia boss of Saint Denis, Angelo Bronte, was another person that got in the way of Dutch's path. From kidnapping Jack to setting up the gang in a robbery. A question that I haven't seen brought up too much is the question of whether or not Bronte was in cahoots with the Pinkertons. And there are lines we can draw for this to make sense. It's possible that Bronte knew who Vanderlinde was when the Braithwaites handed over Jack, and if he didn't, it's still possible that he figured it out by asking Jack directly. I mean, he did get Jack comfortable, gave him food, a bed, and even toys. Papa Bronte might have gotten Jack comfortable enough to tell him about Dutch and the gang. Even just knowing Dutch's name would have been enough. Bronte could have taken this information to the Pinkertons in hopes of a reward. And thus the Pinkertons, with the help of Bronte, set up a massive ambush for the trolley station robbery, a job that Bronte gave to Dutch. We can find a telegram from Bronte to the police chief asking for a bunch of troops on the trolley station. This was another attempt at finally catching Vanderlinde, so it's not surprised that they went all out, this ambush being one of the most intense ones of the game. But that is the theory we have. It's simple, but that's what makes it so compelling. Bronte is a crime lord, but he's a crime lord that collabs with police, and the police want Vanderlinde. It's a win-win situation for all parties involved. So was Angelo Bronte a rat? Well, there's not enough evidence to prove it, but when taking this theory into consideration, it's easy to come to the conclusion that Angelo Bronte is a rat.
The Navy sailor turned camp cook. A theory coming from Junior.RDR2 suggests that Pearson could have been a possible rat in 2 instances. Before we get into it, I want to let you know that I have an extensive series on my channel about the many different rats of the Vanderlinde gang, including 2 videos on both Pearson and Colm O'Driscoll. Let's get back to it. In chapter 3, there's a mission where we mail a letter from Pearson to Aunt Kathy. This first theory suggests that Pearson was sending some sort of secret message to Catherine Braithwaite, the only reason for this being the similar name. This is a pretty shaky theory, so we're just gonna dismiss it. But the second theory is a little bit more interesting. When playing as John, you can find out that Pearson became the owner of the Roach General Store, and in the ending credits of the game, we see a montage of the Pinkertons asking around seemingly in search of John. One scene shows someone being questioned right outside of Rhodes, and then it cuts to Pearson in his store. He looks at a photograph of the gang on the wall. We then see the Pinkertons looking over John's ranch. So basically what this theory is saying is that Pearson gave John's location to the Pinkertons. When they were questioning him at his store, they saw the picture hung up on the wall, and at that point Pearson was forced to spill the truth. This theory is way more compelling. It might lead one to believe that Pearson is a rat, but what are the odds of this being true? It's an insanely small detail that may or may not have been intentional by Rockstar. But do I genuinely think Pearson is a rat? While I do think this makes for an interesting case, I don't think there's enough evidence to say that Pearson is a rat.
The gunslinger's housewife. Abigail is someone who's been suspected as a rat for years now. On a surface level, Abigail clearly has a disdain for living an outlaw's lifestyle, frequently being seen arguing with John. She knows it's imperative to find a way out, so what does she do? She goes to the Pinkertons. The infamous mission along the river, some fans say was a setup by Abigail. In the Saint Denis bank heist, Abigail managed to slip away from the Pinkertons, but Hosea for some reason couldn't. Hosea was killed in the heist. Lenny was killed in the heist, and yet John was the only one who was captured unharmed. Then when Abigail mysteriously vanished from camp, captured by Pinkertons, she knew Arthur and Sadie would come after her. Then when Milton is spewing Micah's name to buy some time, Abigail kills Milton to hide the truth. As strange as this theory sounds, some of the points are a little interesting, but there's no actual evidence to back any of this up. It's just all strange coincidences. But again, what are the odds of this? It's possible that these are intentional details by Rockstar, but I think the odds of Abigail canonically being a rat are extremely slim.
The snake, the conniving, the ugly. There's many words to describe Micah Bell, but is rat one of them? While some of the others on this list has evidence on them that is shaky at best, Micah has the most substantial evidence against him, even some linking back to Colm O'Driscoll. In our last encounter with Milton, he reveals that Micah was the rat, and has been since after Guarma, but there's evidence that suggests he's been working against the gang as far back as Chapter 2. Fans theorize that Micah was working with the O'Driscolls after breaking out of jail. Micah learned that Colm was working with Pinkertons from his cellie. Micah approaches Colm and says,
Look, I give you the lot of them, and you give me a reasonable share of the reward.
Or something like that. And thus the mission, blessed are the peacemakers. Micah is aware of Dutch's high bounty, given that he has Dutch's poster in his camp near Strawberry. $5,000 for Arthur, and at least $1,000 for Dutch. Then imagine the rest of the guns. Hosea, Bill, Charles, Javier, everyone who might have went to rescue Arthur from Colm. Why wouldn't Micah want to be in on this deal? After all Micah's ever wanted from the gang was money, even trying to manipulate Dutch into telling him where the Blackwater money was stashed so that he could take it for himself.
I think you misunderstood me earlier. I ain't trying to rob you.
What are you trying to do, Micah?
Save you. I'll go back to Blackwater and get the money. And we'll be home free, that's it. We gotta try.
All of this information creates an open and shut case of Micah Bell being the rat. So what's the takeaway for this video? Well, I saw it as a way to say that there is no sole rat of Red Dead Redemption. I've seen a lot of people say things like, oh, Micah wasn't the rat, it was Molly, or the rat wasn't Micah, it was Abigail, or whoever. And no, there is no one sole rat. There is a series of rats, including Micah, including Colm, including Bronte, and probably even more people that we haven't even come to think of yet. But everyone I chose for this list was everyone I thought who had the most theories made on them or had the most compelling evidence. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed. We really appreciate the support on our last few videos. They're the best performing videos we've had on this channel in a minute. The comeback is on, slowly but surely. But anyways, thank you again. As always, have a zonkin' wonkin' day.